Hi guys, Coco Pen here. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to unbox and ink up the Kyuseido Kakari in titanium that I got at the SF Pen Show a few weeks ago. For those of you that don't know, CY is a guy who started this company, Kyuseido, and he has a podcast called Tokyo Inklings and is a Nimbmeister as well. And he teamed up with Gravitas pens to make this pen. So here it is. So the box is made out of wood, and this is their name, Kyuseido. I guess with their emblem. It's a light, maybe balsam wood, very understated packaging. And here's the pen. So it's brushed titanium and a clear barrel. It's a piston pump filler. It's a pump piston filler. And it's got a high capacity of up to 4.2 cc's. This is brushed titanium on the end and on the cap and the grip section. It has a 14 karat gold nib with some engraving. It has their emblem engraved and their name, 14K, and it's numbered 585. I'm not sure if that's a particular model of the pen or the number in the series. So anyways, it's got an interesting filling mechanism. Let me actually zoom in here. So, let's see here. This, you turn the end counterclockwise, and that unscrews the end of the rod from the section of the pen. And once it's unscrewed, you pull it back, and there are 3 spokes, as you can see here. There's a J hook at the on the piston here, and you pull the rod back and it engages with the J hook. Once it's engaged, you unscrew counterclockwise the piston from the end of the pen. There's threads there. And then you push it down. You get the ink by vacuum here. And then you put the rod back down and you can screw it in. But you have to, when you're writing, unscrew it so that the flow of ink doesn't stop. And then when you're done, you close it again. They tout this pen also as being good in that you can do either the maximum fill here, which is upwards of 4.2 cc's, or if you want to, fill it less, you can, fill it up to here, fill it up to here. And what they say is this causes less burping because let's say you have this much ink and you screw back in and you're writing, there's less of an air bubble. And so any change in air pressure won't cause burping. and also it can change the center of gravity in the pen. So, you know, if you like to cap your pen and it feels too back heavy, I guess you could potentially do that. I don't know what I would prefer because I haven't used this yet. And that brings up the point, does it post? It posts. It feels a little back heavy. I don't know how I probably would write with it unposted, but it does post. Okay, let me zoom back out, and from what I understand, hang on. From what I understand, this pen handles lots of difficult inks, sheeners, shimmers, very little skips or difficulty starting. So I chose a Birmingham Pen Company ink that's a sheener. According to the website, you shouldn't use pigmented formulas or gall formulas because it could stain the barrel. And that shimmer inks can be used, but you know, you might get some shimmer stuck on the O-rings or the barrel. So I just chose a sheener. I love Birmingham Pen Company, and I haven't used this ink yet. So one of the tricks that I use when I'm messing with my pens is to use this thing that they use at nail salons so I don't get my table dirty. So make sure everything's there and here. And I've got some Tomoe River paper handy as well, so we can do a writing sample. I got an oblique cursive italic nib, so I'm really curious to see how it writes. I'm pretty excited about it. See why I ground it after I bought the pen. So I'll get the piston all the way down to the bottom and fill. Okay, so let's see. Now that they recommend, I saw a video on their website where once you put the rod back, it's good to do it over the pen because the rod will displace some drops of ink. And okay, so I'm unhooking the spoke from the J hook, and I'm putting the rod back to the section, and I'm screwing it back in. Sorry about that. I had a visitor and my two dachshunds went haywire. Here's, I've got the pen all inked up. Oops. And let's see how it writes. First time writing. This is Tomoe River paper. Have to make sure I spelled it right. It's a very wet writer. It feels wonderful, very smooth. Keeps up real well. So those of you who don't know what an oblique cursive italic grind is, let me grab more paper here. This is, let's see, this is Kyuseido ruled paper. And an oblique grind means that if you're looking at the nib from the top, this left tine is shorter than the right tine. It's at a 15-degree angle is what they usually grind it at. And it allows you to write more comfortably if you're right-handed. And if you're left-handed, you can get a nib that is more like this. An italic grind is if you're looking straight at the nib, okay, let's say you're looking this way. An italic grind is rectangular, and that's what hits the paper, so that your horizontal lines should be thicker than your vertical lines are thicker than your horizontal lines. And because this is an oblique, I guess it's sort of, this is the thickest and this is the thinnest. And the cursive, oblique cursive smooth. So usually italic is very sharp. It's very crisp, so that the edges, can make calligraphy and have thin lines and thick lines. The cursive smooth, they sort of soften the edges a bit, so it's not as scratchy to write with. And I was able to try all the nibs that they were able to grind for that day. And I ended up really liking this oblique italic grind. It felt really smooth and there was a lot of line variation. I tend to like thicker writers. I tend to like mediums. I even have several broads because I like to sort of experiment with ink. Levels go down and it sloshes around. The lady who had one of these pens, the sales lady, had sort of a burgundy color and it looked beautiful. I bought the pen for $650 plus $50 for the special grind. On the website today, these are sold out. Also in this model at the show was a beautiful urushi and Rodin pen that had 9 planets on it. The urushi was sort of burgundy, and the Rodin was semi-translucent so that it would change, the planet colors would change as ink was filled and sloshing around. That one was above my price range at $2,200. And there also was actually something that was more interesting to me. It was called Moku Megani. And it was 3 different types of metal that was welded together. And it was copper, brass, and Q-Pro nickel, which is a 3-to-1 alloy of copper and nickel, plus sometimes they add manganese or iron to strengthen it. But it was welded sort of in a wood pattern, and one of the ladies at the table had her pen for about a year, and you could see how it patinaed differently. The copper was quite a bit darker. It was beautiful. But again, that one was, you know, $1,500, so above my price range. This pen itself is really not cheap. But I hope to have it for a long time. The nibs come in addition to the oblique, cursive, smooth, italic, extra fine, fine, medium, broad, double broad, as well as sankakusen, which is similar to a naginata togi, which is touted as being good for Japanese writing and other East Asian characters, and has a broad stroke when you hold the pen at a low angle and a narrow stroke when you hold it at a higher angle. Also, it had they had stacked nib grinds, which were quite a bit more expensive, where there was a 2 stacked nib where sort of 2 nibs were welded together. Like the end part of one nib was welded on top of the other nib, and then it was ground. It was so wet, and the writing was so wide. Also a 3 stack, which was quite amazing. But I can't imagine getting one of those. I mean, when would you use it? If you're spending $600, I want to be using this pen every day. Let's see what else. That's pretty much all I could come up with. There's a 5-year warranty. I think, you know, part of the reason why I wanted this pen is because when I saw they had a table and I had heard so much about it, the high ink capacity, the interesting filling mechanism, and the interesting nib grinds, as well as it being a pretty solid pen that could handle any ink, hopefully would last a long time. I wanted to get it because I knew that it sold out frequently on the website. One of the things that I regret is that I didn't get the roll stop. They had a beautiful sterling silver roll stop made of flowers. I don't know if it was cherry blossoms. I think it might have been cherry blossoms, but it wrapped all the way around the pen, and it was beautiful. I should have gotten it. Anyways, that one was $250, I think. But overall, I'm really excited about this pen. I think this is the one that I was most excited about that I bought. I'll write with it this week and sort of let you know how I like it. Let me do also a size comparison. So this is the last pen that I opened and showed you guys. By the way, this pen wrote wonderfully all week, and I actually used all the ink in it. It was very smooth, medium writer, typical Esterbrook nib. So it's a tiny bit shorter than the capped Esterbrook. And here's the Kakuno. So it's bigger than the Kakuno. Here's the Lamy Safari. Almost the same size, maybe a tiny bit longer. And here's the Kaweco. So I'll let you guys know how I like it this week. Let me know if anyone else has this pen and what your experience has been. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much for joining.